Okay, guys. Here we have a question from May 2007 paper number 5. It states two variables x and y are related such that y varies inversely as the square of x. The first thing we're asked to do is to write an equation in x, y, and k to describe the inverse variation, where k is the constant of variation. Now, we're going to take out some key terms from the statement shown here. It says two variables related such that y varies inversely as the square of x. How do we write that? We write that y varies inversely, the symbol, to the square, and because it says inversely, the inverse of x squared would be 1 over x squared. Now, because it says here that we are supposed to write an equation in x, y, and k to describe the inverse variation where k is the constant of variation. So what we're doing here is that we're going to be rewriting this expression here that we have. So we have y is equal to k, because all I've done was replace this symbol with an equal sign and a constant of proportionality, 1 over x squared. So this can be left as is, or we can go further and multiply k by 1, which is a numerator, and I will have y is equal to k over x squared. So this is my final answer. Okay. The next thing it says now is that using the information in the table above, calculate the value of k, which is a constant of variation. So looking at the table, remember I said to you in my last video that in order for you to find the constant, you must have the x value and the corresponding y value. So of course, we can't use this pair because we only have the y value and we don't have the x value. We can't use this pair because we only have the y value. Sorry, we only have the x value and we don't have the y value. So the only pair we can use to find k, which is a constant, is actually 3 and 2. So we're going to substitute that into our formula. So I'm going to write here y is equal to k over x squared. So that's going to leave us with y in this case is 2 is equal to k over, and x squared here is going to give me 3 squared. Okay, so all I've substituted is the value. So y is 2 and x is 3. So I'm going to have here 2 is equal to k, and 3 squared is of course 9, right? So of course we have a fraction over here and a whole number over there. So to clear a denominator, what we can do is two things. One, we can put 2 over 1 and cross multiply to find the value of k, or we can multiply both sides by 9 in order to clear the denominator. So if I multiply over here by 9, I have to do the same thing on this side. The 9 cancel. What we have, k is equal to 18. All right, so therefore k is equal to 18. So that's the first thing that we found out. So we know now that k is equal to 18. Now so we have done this part of the question, which is part I, part 1. The next thing now is to find number 2, right? Represented by I. Now we're finding R. R here is represented by Y. So again, for number 2, let me write it here. We're going to write our formula. The formula is y is equal to k over x squared. The next thing I'm going to do is that y, of course, in this case, is represented by r. K, we just found out that k is actually 18. K is actually 18. And the corresponding value is actually 1.8. So I'm going to put 1.8 here for the value of x. Now here you're going to be required to use your calculators because you will be able to calculate the value of this. So you're going to have r is equal to 18 over, then now on your calculator you're going to be punching 1.8 squared, which is the same thing as 1.8 times 1.8, and you're going to get 3.24. So what we're having here is 18 divided by 3.24, and I'm going to have 5.55555, and the list continue. So we are going to round our answer correct to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to round it off to 5.56, and this is correct to 2 decimal places. All right. So that is the value of R. The next part of the question is that we're going to find F, which is part 3. All right. So same formula, y is equal to k over x squared. Now in this case, y is now the value of 8. K as we know it is 18. And of course, x is represented by the letter f. So we put f squared. Now, of course, again, we're clearing the denominator, so we're multiplying both sides by f squared, or we can also cross multiply. So if this is a fraction, let's try the next method. This is a fraction, we're going to make this one a fraction by putting it over 1, and we can cross multiply. So 8 times f squared is going to give me 8f squared, and 1 times 18 is going to give me 18. After you have found that, the next thing is to do is to get rid of this 8 in front of the f, that coefficient, so that f squared can be by itself. So I divide this side by 8, and if I divide one side by 8, I have to do the other side just the same, right? So what we would have here is actually 18 divided by 8, and we're going to get for our answer, f squared is equal to 2.25. Now, they did not ask us for f squared, but rather than that, they asked us for the value of f. So, in order for us to find the value of f, we would have to apply the square root to both sides. Now, to apply the square root, we apply it over here. The square cancel the square root, and we apply it on the other side. So now we have the value of f being 1.5. Okay? So that is how you actually would attempt a question of this nature. All right, hope you understand a little bit better.